Nick, welcome to the
welcome to the
show.
show.
Hey guys, I didn't mean to kick off the last
No,
guy. I don't know
you're
if
all
that's
good.
was that
Booted.
Wrapped
rude.
up.
I was
Booted.
3 minutes early.
You're all good. How you doing?
Doing great, man.
How did investment committee go? Break down. Introduce yourself. What do you do? And then what does investment committee mean on a Monday? Like who's in the meeting? What are you talking about?
No, and a little asterisk first.
Yeah.
Nick just started Lent.
Okay.
And he's not. He's giving up nicotine, so
Oof,
he
rough.
said he's a little bit
True.
grumpy today.
Yep.
But we're gonna turn it around because we're gonna eventually talk about core weave,
Yeah.
which is maybe a 2,000 bagger or something in that. I was
Exactly.
trying to run the numbers on it, but how did investment committee go?
It was good. Yeah, and we're actually having. Yeah, I am having a poly crisis with all the companies that I'm on the board of. So that part's not good. So never become a venture capitalist. I don't advise it to any
No?
young folks listening. Don't do it. Okay, go become an artist or
Become an
something.
artist.
Become an artist.
What kind of
Um,
art should the fans do these days?
What's that?
What kind of art is not going to be immediately commoditized by AI?
I don't
do
know.
like sculpture?
I think you just have to learn to work with the AI.
Okay, yeah.
Look at Grimes.
Little
Okay,
centaur model.
there's the Grimes AI, but people still like her. You know?
That's
So,
true. That's good.
How often do you take a board seat when you make an investment? Is that you sound like future investments? You may just write the check and say, good luck.
No, don't say that. No, I can't have. I can't have potential investees hearing that. No. I'm on 5 boards.
Okay.
I got capacity. I got some space still. So if I'm leading and it's my deal, then we try and lead most of our rounds. So we do end up on a lot of boards for sure.
Would you
Yeah.
want to be on a public company board at any point? Like, how Andreessen has visibility into Facebook and that's just like alpha for the entire portfolio, right?
Yeah, and I think they pay you as well. So that
There you
part's
go.
nice. So I don't get paid to be on
Well,
private
maybe
board.
CoreWeave will bring you up. We'll bring you back,
I'm silently hoping that they're
Make your
gonna ask for
pitch.
me to be on the board.
Explain the
one
business to
day.
us. And if they like how you explain the business, then you're on the board. Boom. We'll send them this clip.
Yeah, we'll tell them the Technology Brothers collectively requested that Nick be added to the board
Yeah, yes,
prior
exactly.
to the IPO.
Yeah.
And get a little, maybe
break it down.
let's just break.
I'm a very
let's-
small shareholder.
right.
For
But,
now, could start building that position up. Though.
when did you invest in CoreWeave? What were they doing at the time, and what are they doing now? It's obviously been in the news, but I would love to hear it from you.
What a fun story, man! It was my first angel investment ever.
What?
Yeah, it was a good
insane.
way to start becoming an angel investor. So I have like over 50 now, but that was my first, and I was not accredited at the time. I mean,
Dirty dog.
you don't.
Dirty dog.
No one checks. Okay, that's the trick.
cheeky.
No one checks. The SEC doesn't check. I don't think I even had the money to make the investment at the time. I think I borrowed it from my dad. To be
Wow.
honest.
Amazing.
And I had met these guys because we were mutual haters of Ethereum.
Wow.
So we hated Ethereum proof of stake specifically, and I think I found them on Reddit. And
No way.
Brian Venturo, he was posting on Reddit about how proof of stake was stupid and bad because they were ETH miners, right? They were mining ETH. They're against the transition of proof of stake, and I was as well because I just love proof of work and hate proof of stake. So we were kind of strange bedfellows. And then, they were just mining ETH. That's what they were doing. They had a different take on it than other ETH miners. They used more high-end NVIDIAs, which became very important later, versus other ETH miners used AMDs, more commodity AMDs. And then we became friends. I became friends with Brandon and Brian, and mostly centered on our mutual shared disdain for Ethereum culture. They had like a very like weird relationship with Ethereum. It was all their revenue, but also they just like had a very antagonistic relationship. And then they pitched me the idea of repurposing their GPU hardware, just like idling by mining ETH and other proof of work crypto assets, and then also on a more bursty basis, doing like rendering
Sure.
and stuff.
Like
So then-
CGI?
Yeah, like Blender. So that
Sure.
the AI wasn't even in the conversation
Yep,
at
yep,
that
yep.
point. wasn't even in the discussion. This is 2018 though.
Yeah.
No one
Was this
except for Goran knew.
yeah, was this related to the render network, like the Octane renderer, RNDR? Was that a thing, or is this just like general purpose rendering for? Do you know?
What
Did you
they
ever run into
pitched
that
me
before?
was like they were gonna like go to the Blender conferences and
Sure.
be like the industrial HPC farm for
Yep.
Blender
Yeah.
and movie studios and whatever. And that sort of happened actually. But then so I did the first round in which they raised capital. I think I was the only like VC to be on the cap table. I did it
Wow.
personally. Actually brought it to the fund, and we didn't do it because it was seen as outside of scope, which
Yep.
was a catastrophic mistake, obviously. Worst mistake of my career by far.
Uh,
Like I just ran the math, I did the numbers on it, and
yeah, it would have been big.
it was our first fund. Fund one would have been a 50x fund on that alone,
Wow.
Wow.
if we'd done the check. So that was a miss. And
What was the
then
scope back then? Like why was it not in scope?
because we had done some crypto mining stuff, and then we got really turned off by it.
Okay.
And we invest in like more like asset light crypto
Sure. Sure.
businesses. So mining we thought was totally out of scope, and the
Yeah.
whole pitch was we're going to stop doing crypto and we're going to
Sure.
pivot into this other stuff.
Yeah, makes sense.
So then in 2019 they almost went out of business because ETH moved to proof of stake.
Yep.
So all the proof of work market for GPUs ceased to exist. And but right around the same time, all of these early applications for LLMs, like transform-based LLMs, came out. Like GPT-2 was actually really big for them
Huh.
because there were all these apps that were built on it, like AI Dungeon, if you guys remember that. I
I
think that was
remember that. Yeah.
2019. You guys remember that?
Yeah.
That was my first. They were like, yeah, this thing's going crazy. Like the usage is hockey sticking. And I played it. I'm like, oh my God, like,
Yeah.
wow, this is actually like amazing technology. Like,
Yeah.
that's when I realized LM or like, the transform model was gonna, change the world.
Yeah.
And so then that just hockey sticked, and they obviously did an incredible job of being creative about financing, and Magnetar was obviously a great capital partner to them in many different ways over the years, and technically they've delivered. It's not an undifferentiated product. It really is. They built with the idea of HPC, big, performant, synchronous HPC clusters in mind, when absolutely no one was doing that. None of the hyperscalers were doing that. And then now, of course, everybody's realized AI specific data centers make sense, but Corey was really the first to
Yeah.
do it. And so, they've been able to lock in, long duration contracts. So they've done very well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Changing subjects a little bit. I want to go back to, it feels like a year ago. It wasn't that long ago. What was the vibe at the crypto ball, which you were at, once everybody started realizing that the incoming president had launched a token?
No one knew at the ball that the Trump coin had launched, or maybe others knew, but I certainly didn't know. I think it launched around 9 p.m. and I didn't get out of there till like 11:30, and
Really?
at
So
that
there
point it was
wasn't,
too late.
there wasn't, people were at the ball just hanging out, having fun, and people weren't realizing what had happened yet?
Nobody that I knew at the ball knew. I certainly didn't know. No one was talking about it, so I felt that we were rug pulled actually by Dr. Trump.
Yeah, because most conferences, there's quite a lot of people just looking down at their phone the whole time because
Yeah.
it's just not that. And obviously, this wasn't a conference; it was a
Yeah.
party. But the timing was hilarious. And then the lesson from this last Sunday was, if there's ever anything White House related, any type of crypto event, expect some big news. I thought you had some of the best takes on the strategic crypto reserve. Now that a few days have passed, have any of your thoughts changed? You're generally
Well,
not super excited about it. You had written a post before that you were sort of broadly against it. What's your thinking on today, March 5th, and where does this all go?
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna find out on Friday what they're really proposing or thinking. I think there's so many unanswered questions, like how are they gonna pay for it? Is Congress gonna have to authorize Are they just going to hold the seized Bitcoin? Are they going to sell the seized Bitcoin to buy Cardano? Is that really going to happen? I mean, can you imagine?
Hey, portfolio
Meltdown?
rebalancing. You
Yeah.
know, it's strategically important for the United States to diversify.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, really, like if they can't find some ersatz way to finance this thing without asking Congress, because they can't ask Congress, let's be real. Congress is not going to pass this.
Yeah.
So, okay, are they just going to use the Bitcoins they hold, 200,000 Bitcoins? Okay, we want to do a basket of Bitcoin, Cardano, ETH, Solana, Ripple. So you're selling Bitcoin to buy Ripple and Cardano. That's crazy. Come on. So we're going to find out what David Sachs has up his sleeve. I mean, I like the guy. I think he's smart. I don't know how this policy came to be. I don't support it. Continue to not support it. Whether or not it's just Bitcoin or Bitcoin in a basket of other crypto assets, it doesn't make sense at all. There's no strategic purpose to owning crypto at the government level. Other strategic assets that we hold are commodities that are like hard to acquire in a pinch if we have liabilities denominated in those commodities, right?
Yep.
It makes sense to have a petroleum reserve. It makes sense to have a tungsten reserve, a
Yeah.
uranium reserve, even medical equipment, agricultural commodities, whatever. Where is the industrial need to own Bitcoin or Ripple or Cardano? There is none. So I just don't understand. The whole thing seems totally incoherent to me.
What I think we share the same point of view on Sachs. Do you think that he is having real influence on the sort of messaging coming out of the White House related to crypto, or is he finding out live like the rest of us?
I think if it was just up to Sachs, we wouldn't be talking about the reserve. There wouldn't be a Trump meme coin.
Yep.
World Liberty Fi wouldn't be as big as it is. What other crazy stuff did Trump do with crypto? I don't know. I mean, I've just been hoping that Trump would just fire Gensler, put in Atkins, and then never say the word crypto ever again. We would be so much better. Instead, he's like hugging us to death,
Oh,
you know?
yeah.
And I don't know where it's coming from. I don't know. Is it Barron? Is it Eric? Is it Don? Who's doing it?
Yeah.
Who's the puppeteer? Whoever it is, they need to stop. Hopefully, Sachs can put an end to all this nonsense.
Yeah, it
It's
does
not
feel
good for
like
us for Trump to care.
it does feel like a distraction from the other side of Sachs's responsibilities, which is the AI stuff.
We heard a good take on the strategic crypto reserve yesterday that I want to get your feedback on. Trump is known for coming out of the gate hot with a very aggressive proposal. Canada is going to be the 51st state, and then when all things are said or done, it's like a 5% tariff or something like that. And so the idea here was, hey, maybe the Cardano thing is this opening salvo of craziness that winds up just being pure Bitcoin reserve. Do you think that's strategically 4D chess possible? I know you're still against it, even if it lands there, but is it possible that that's what's happening here?
Yeah, certainly. I mean, the thing is, I kind of like disagree with the premise of the question, though. Like, everybody says this is an amazing negotiation tactic, but like, I make deals for a living, right? This is what I
Yeah.
do. If a founder came to me, they're like, yeah, we're raising a pre-seed, it's $100 million pre-money.
Yeah.
And then they expect to get negotiated down to like 50 million or something. I'm like,
Yeah.
this person is clearly insane and not like trustworthy, and I don't want to
Especially
work
if they have
with
like a
them.
track record of doing just that and it's like very public.
I mean, yeah, look, Trump, he wrote the art of deal, he's a great deal maker, whatever. I still don't like the strategy. I think it
Sure, sure.
sucks. What about just like being a fair and honest broker? Like what
I
about
like
that?
that. Yeah. That's totally fine. Yeah.
Does Trump launch another crypto project while in office? Well, or you think he's had enough?
So he's launched what, 4, 5 in
Close to
since
6 if you count
October.
Melania. Oh yeah, 4 since October, right?
So there's
So
World
many.
Liberty Fi, there's Trump coin, there's Melania coin, there's the reserve, which kind of is a project. There's probably something else that I'm forgetting.
Sure.
NFTs. He has Trump NFTs.
Yep.
2 editions, actually, not just 1 edition.
Editions.
To be clear, because I know a lot of
so
the holders of the
much.
first edition of the Trump NFT, they're very upset at the second edition.
Okay. Yeah.
So dilution and the Trump NFT.
Yeah.
Market.
Yeah,
Yeah,
everyone says
I mean,
immutable or no inflated supply, no inflation. But when you issue a whole new batch, of course you're going to dilute.
That was the problem with Melania too. I mean, look, if we
Yeah.
extrapolate this, it'll be 5,000 Trump crypto projects by the end of his
They're growing
second term.
exponentially. The
So
supply of
yeah,
Trump
he loves it.
crypto projects is growing exponentially.
He loves it.
Uh, More broadly, where does crypto go from here? It's sort of, it feels like a very interesting moment because it's never had more attention. It's never had more users. It's never had more adoption, right? Even, with stablecoins, things like that. Yet the vibes are bad, right? Like there's and the price action is not what you would expect out of the government saying, we're going to start buying these assets. Where does it go from here? How are you thinking about it as an investor?
I think markets are calling Trump's bluff.
Mm.
I actually don't think we're going to see a reserve. We might see a stockpile. I don't think we're going to see a reserve where we're using government taxpayer funds, regardless of how they're accounted for, whatever accounting tricks they use. We're not going to see taxpayer funds used to buy crypto assets. That's crazy. Okay, that's not going to happen. Markets are calling his bluff. Also, risk markets are going crazy. Everyone's worried about the tariffs and inflation
Yep.
and recessionary signals, whatever. That probably explains a lot of the sell-off too. Vibes are really bad in crypto because the big L1 launches of this year have not done well. Meme coins are dead as a category. Even though we have sort of like emerging regulatory clarity around it, like the retail bid's just not there. I think retail got hosed one too many times.
Yeah.
So they're just not willing to do that. They don't want to buy the, $30 billion FDV hot new L1 that Andreessen put $400 million into, right? Nobody wants to do that. Okay. There's no ultimate buyer. So it's just VCs buying from other VCs now with a lot of these launches. So in terms of liquid tokens, yeah, like everyone's down bad. The cycle didn't happen. Bitcoin did well. Nothing else happened. There was no alt season, right? So the framework, people have this mental framework that's wrong that cycles have to happen in a certain way and they happen every 4 years and it plays out like this. It didn't happen like that. In terms of like actual usage of blockchains, like it couldn't be better. Stable coins are taking over all of fintech, all of global finance, all of banking, remittances, B2B, international trade settlement. Like my corner of the world, the little stable coin corner, we couldn't be happier. But most people in crypto don't care about that. The coins matter, and the coins might be dead for a generation here. So,
Huh.
Yeah, how are you thinking about net new stablecoin investments? Where are the opportunities? Obviously, anywhere that money, fiat moves today is an opportunity for stables. But there's now been a bunch of teams sort of tackling, these various areas for a while. Are you making a lot of net new kind of pure stablecoin bets, or are you kind of letting your bets ride?
yeah, I have wires going out for two new stablecoin related deals this week. So we're at 19 now in our portfolio, I believe. If you look at the stablecoin stack, I don't know how exciting this is, but there's the issuers, then there's like the infrastructure, like the intermediaries, like the B2B stablecoin startups. Then you have like consumer, which are like fintechs built on stables. The issuer game is like immensely competitive and it's the domain of banks and consortia now. So like, and also basically no one's ever created a new stablecoin issuer from scratch that's done well, except for probably Athena. I mean, Tether and Circle dominate. So that one's very hard. The B2B stablecoin payments, like the PSP, stablecoin based PSP thing, immensely commoditized. There's 100 new bridges, right? Everybody wants to be the next bridge. Very, very competitive, very hard, going to be thin margin. I'm looking at weird stuff like the banking layer itself. Like how do you incorporate stable coins into the core banking infrastructure? We're still looking at regional fintechs that have a stablecoin angle. Like that's very interesting to me. But so you're looking for moats. Like that would be more of like maybe a regulatory driven moat or a local network effect, something like that. But yeah, I think just like tossing checks into the next bridge, that's probably gonna be a losing strategy.
Is TradFi even trying to move to stable coins in a meaningful way? Like in AI, we see, ChatGPT is dominant, but there's Gemini and Copilot from Microsoft, and every hyperscaler has their products baked in. Is Western Union thinking about working on this, or is it just, just completely the train's just passing them by because it's more complex from the regulatory perspective?
I would say the major fintechs, non-bank fintechs, are very interested. They're looking at making acquisitions.
Sure.
The remitters are either being disrupted by stablecoin remitters or building their own.
Okay.
So for sure that's happening there. The big credit cards like Visa and MasterCard are pretty active. Like the big global payments networks are, I would say, all looking at it. The last bastion, though, is the banks, the domestic banks. Foreign banks are actually doing a lot of stablecoin stuff, depending. Like look at SocGen or Standard Chartered, tons and tons of stablecoin stuff. The domestic banks have PTSD from what happened over the last 2 years with Choke Point. They are very afraid. I think many of them would like to be in the business of either issuing a stablecoin or being a service provider for stablecoin, being the first mile. That's going to take a lot longer. They're still afraid that the Fed is going to destroy them if they so much as think about stablecoins.
Is it shifting from like regulatory arbitrage to more just like, I don't know, like whatever the inverse of fear, like boldness, courage, arbitrage. Like if you're courageous, there's an opportunity right now.
I think so.
That's good. That feels good.
There's still a reg arb, actually. I mean,
yeah,
that's why people say reg arb to mean crime. Like I don't see it that way. A lot of like fintech thought leaders on Twitter will say that, like, oh, you're just doing reg arb, like you're just a criminal.
Yeah.
I mean, stablecoin, there will be questions asked of how stablecoins work from a KYC and surveillance perspective. That's actually not settled. That's a big gray swan hanging over the industry. People don't really talk about much.
Gray swan. Never heard that term before. I like that.
It's like a black swan, but some of us know about it.
It's a known. It's a known unknown, not an unknown unknown. Got it.
Yeah.
Gray swan. Cool. Like that. What other gray swans are out there?
Yeah, gray swan.
Give me your top 5 gray swans.
In crypto or just in general?
In general.
I only know about crypto, so I'm going to limit my.
Okay, that's fine.
Tether is the top gray swan in crypto.
Sure.
Some kind of.
Can you
a
explain
hack.
that? We have some crypto investors and entrepreneurs in the audience, but I would say it's not the average. So why is Tether so sketchy? I know the answer, but I'll let you kind of explain.
Yes. I mean, they did some, like, let's say light accounting fraud in the past. They were hacked for $850 million, and then they, or Bitfinex or was it Bitfinex or Tether? Anyway, they commingled their balance sheets.
Yeah.
There was like a weird ersatz promissory note loan type thing. I mean, look, they're just an offshore dollar that serves people that want dollars on the blockchain in a kind of lightly surveilled way outside of the contours of the US banking system. So of course they're going to be used by a lot of insalubrious people. That was always going to happen. And so the Wall Street Journal is always going to be digging up examples of kind of nasty criminal use, and there's only so much activity they can flag and freeze. So that's really it. Obviously, the reserves have been questionable in the past. I think they're fine now. But
and they're
they
fine because even if
pains.
they got hacked for 850 million, they just make so much money that presumably they would be able to cover the hole in the balance sheet. Is that the idea?
Well, that they could do today, yeah. I mean, the reason the hack was they were forced into it because no U.S. bank would really serve them, so they had to use these sketchy banks, and one of them scammed them, basically. Wow. So, like, the sketchiness, the fact that they've been sketchy is also kind of a function of the fact that the DOJ is, like, chasing them around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're, like, forced to use some of the worst intermediaries on the planet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Now they've been able to legitimate themselves. Now they have Cantor Fitzgerald. They hold all the treasuries. Like, that's probably fine. But in the past, that's like the thing that people don't understand about Tether. The reason that they looked sketchy, and they like wouldn't disclose what banks are using, whatever, they were untransparent, was kind of because they were playing this cat and mouse game with the U.S. government.
That makes sense.
Any other gray swans?
Well, if Coinbase's custody setup it gets hacked or anything happens, they custody hundreds of billions. They were really the main custodian for all the ETFs. that would be like absolutely catastrophic for the industry. I don't expect it to happen, but that'd be bad.
Yeah,
Security.
is there? I'm curious if you're looking at businesses. There seems like some of the biggest opportunities in crypto outside of stablecoins are just solving like the security problem, right? And the lack of, once funds are on chain, they can move around instantly, right? We saw that with what's the firm that got hacked for 1.4 billion
Oh,
uh, 2 weeks
Bybit?
ago? Bybit.
I
Yeah,
bet.
we saw that with Bybit, right? There's not a lot of recourse there. Is there opportunities around security and the sort of broader sort of like fat finger issue? We talked about this, yesterday in the context of Citibank, accidentally sending, they're constantly sending money around, sort of not actually sending dollars, but like these dollars are sort of appearing in client accounts. Are you looking at opportunities where software and can kind of like solve for that, or is that just going to be kind of a ever-present sort of risk in the industry?
Yeah. So first of all, yes, cyber is actually one of our biggest investment themes on a go-forward basis. So we think that we've really underinvested in like security in the crypto space. Second of all, what I think we should do is take crypto away from being a real-time gross settlement network or like a bearer asset, a digital bearer asset, and then make it more like the way that traditional finance works. And I know like people like Matt Levine are gonna like make fun of me for saying that. They're like, oh, you're just rebuilding traditional finance from scratch.
Yep.
My answer to that is yes. That's exactly what we're doing. Okay. But instead of working with like fax machines or whatever and like weird file transfer protocols that predate the internet, we're going to do it on a better substrate. And we're going to introduce this amazing thing called deferred settlement, where you don't settle the payment instantly. And in so doing, you obtain scalability and you can obtain recourse. And so if we're able to create like pull payments as opposed to push, all crypto payments are push. That
Yep.
solves a lot of this problem. If we create a messaging layer alongside the settlement layer, like that's what Swift is to wires, right? It's the messaging layer to the settlement layer.
Yep.
You know, all of these structures that are like make traditional payments work and be safe and have recourse. They just don't exist in crypto. It's so weird. Like if you were to examine the crypto market from first principles, you'd be like, this is garbage nonsense. I don't know how anybody uses it. I don't know how anybody trusts it. So yeah, it's just a matter of making it more like traditional payments and finance. So that's the next chapter here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it takes away from, we built an alternative to traditional financial rails, and we did it in, I say the collective we did it in 15 years, and it's moving hundreds of billions of dollars around the world, and it's showing a lot of potential. And I think it's totally, I think your point of view, and I share this view, is it's okay if we're just sort of making a better version of the sort of the legacy systems that are more internet native. So I love that point of view. Do you have anything else, John?
No, I
This
think
was
we're
great
good.
to have you.
This is awesome.
We'd love to have you as our resident cryptographer.
I don't actually know any cryptography, but
Well, it
I am
sounds
a
cool.
cryptography bro.
And that's what this show is about,
Cryptographer sounds like we're gonna have him on the show to like crack people's passwords.
which would be a fun segment.
Yeah.
Just don't ask me to explain a ZK proof. I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's impossible. No one can, actually.
Did any of the did that Dark Forest game go anywhere? People were pretty hyped on that for a while.
Was that like a paradigm thing?
I don't know. It was like a couple years ago. It was ZK proof powered like multiplayer online game, and the map, like the fog of war, is cryptographically sealed. So we can both
in
run open
general-
source installations. We know we're not hacking. It was kind of a cool idea.
In general, crypto rule of thumb, if you ask me, did that crypto game go somewhere? The answer is no. And that's true 100% of the time. It's never not been true.
Yeah.
So there's the answer.
Yeah. What's interesting is that I mean, what was the thing you were talking about with GPT-2 AI Dungeon?
Yeah.
I haven't seen, like, we have GPT 4.5 now, and I'm still not seeing like dungeon games, AI generated games taking off. I see a lot of demos of people building games with Claude Code, for example, or Cursor, but I don't see a lot of people saying like, this game is completely AI generated and it's a mobile game and we're printing millions of dollars and it's working. It's like a business. It seems like somebody should have run with that, or maybe they have, and I'm not aware of it. I don't know if you've seen anything like that.
I think AI Dungeon was popular because people could just like jailbreak the game and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
just use it as a conventional LLM pre ChatGPT.
But now you can just
That's
use
why it was so
whatever.
magical.
Interesting. Yeah, makes sense.
But yeah, maybe this is the new benchmark. Like,
Yeah.
can you make a good game with AI soup to nuts? Like, that's what Levels did, right? Have you
Oh
guys
yeah.
played his
I haven't
Levels
played it. Have
IO?
you played it?
Yeah, yeah. I've spent like a weird amount of time playing
You play
that
a
game.
lot. That's great.
That's
It's so
great.
That's amazing.
stupid.
There's a PMF or die
Blimp.
blimp ad
Yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
Oh, you guys sponsoring it?
Uh,
PMF or die has like a blimp in the game.
I
that,
think they
that
did some corrupt
I
bargain or something, and they did
No,
like
I think
the trade.
Patty,
he
one of the
pay?
players, was so excited
Yeah.
that he just said, "I'm paying for this out of pocket."
Oh wow,
So,
that's great.
very cool.
Well, I think this answers your question. You can make a game with AI.
Yeah.
It's just it's a horrible like flash game from like the early 2000s, but it's
Hey, you're playing it. It's got your attention.
Yeah,
you
you're
can
addicted.
I know they got me.
It's a
Man.
Skinner box. You can make a Skinner box. That's great.
He's a whale on the Peter game.
On the Levels IO flying
Yeah.
flight simulator. That's great.
It's
Well, thanks for
terrible.
stopping by.
It's a terrible game, but it's fun. You guys should get on there.
I
All
will
right,
go. I will
see
go
you
play it.
We'll see you in the air.
Next time we're on, we'll all be playing at the same time.
See you,
Yeah.
see you in the metaverse.
Yeah.
See you in
We'll
the
see you
metaverse.
later.
Thank you for coming on, Nick. It's great
We'll
to
talk
have
soon.
you.
Okay. Take care,
Bye.
guys. Bye bye.
Talk soon.